Some said I do,
I do.
while others walked away at the altar during the Love is Blind Season 2 finale.
You ready for this?
Which couples are still going strong and which couples pulled the plug on their relationship? We hate them, you hate them, so we're warning you now. If you haven't finished Season 2 or you want to wait to see where the couples stand, you will get some spoilers in the video. Be warned. Shane Jansen and Natalie Lee. Oh, these two. Sometimes they had us questioning, do they even like each other? Because the way they talked to each other was kinda toxic.
You gotta give our relationship a little more credit, I think.
Yeah, it's not like I don't. I'm just saying,
Shane also had a connection with Shayna in the pods, but he ultimately swerved her when she tried to win him over after she accepted Kyle's engagement. After doing some pod talking, Natalie and Shane's relationship went south. They let little things become a bigger deal, like Natalie's annoyance of Shane sleeping with the TV on. The night before they were planning on exchanging their I do's, Shane and Natalie had an explosive fight, which resulted in Shane telling Natalie that he hated her and she was the worst thing to have happened to him. What? So she ditched him at the altar.
I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry, Shane.
But are they together now? By the looks of the reunion clip that Netflix posted, it's not looking too good for the two. In the exclusive clip, the two were sitting on opposite-facing couches, which isn't a good sign, and things get a little heated.
You're still not, you haven't apologized, like, kind of like your side of the story. You haven't.
Shane implied that Natalie pushed him to say those hurtful words to her and asked for an apology. A tearful Natalie apologized for not making him feel like enough and even revealed that he was more than enough for her. Natalie and Shane both posted an update on their relationship status on Instagram, breaking the news to fans that they might not be together but also shared their deep love for one another. As a man, watching our story over again, I'm remorseful for my actions and all I can do is learn from them to be a better man, Shane wrote in his caption. He also said that he doesn't know what's in their future, but he will never stop loving Natalie. As for Natalie, she thanked Shane for loving her and all of her insecurities. Even if I did this experiment 1,000 times knowing the outcome, I would have always chosen you, Natalie's caption wrote. Yes, we're crying. Someone passes the tissues, please. Deepti Venpati and Abhishek Sheikh Chatterjee. Sheikh may have been the brains to a veterinarian, but he was absolutely clueless to treat Queen Deeps less than what she deserves. And she deserves it all. Sheikh lacked emotional vulnerability and kind of took everything as a joke. Even though their conversations were surface level, Deepti accepted Sheikh's proposal, but the spark just wasn't there. Sheikh admitted that he wasn't completely attracted to Deepti and compared her to a family member. Like any girl would want to hear that. At the altar, Deepti did what fans were begging her to do and left the wedding. Single.
No, I cannot marry you.
After the finale was released, Sheikh posted old photos of him and Deeps at Nobu, so it looks like they remained friends but definitely did not get back together. Ayanna McNeely and Jarrett Jones. We love our thugs who cry. If you know, you know. Usually love triangles get messy and don't work out for anyone involved, but you know what they say. Love conquers all. They made a deep connection in the pods, but Jarrett actually proposed to someone else before he popped the big question to Ayanna. Jarrett had deep feelings for Mallory, but she denied his proposal. She felt a stronger connection to Sal, who she later got engaged to. After everyone met face to face, there wasn't any drama, unlike the Shane, Natalie, and Shayna mess. Fans could feel the intense love Ayanna and Jarrett had for each other, easily making them the top couple of the season. They say I do over at the altar and left fans thinking that their love would last after filming.
I do.
Since filming, the couple have been quiet about their marriage, but there's no clues hinting that they separated. Ayanna addressed the countless number of fans asking for a relationship update through an Instagram story. While she was sporting a new hairdo and was smiling the whole time, she told followers that they have to wait for the reunion. Way to keep us on our toes, Ayanna. Nick Thompson and Danielle Rule. These two were the first to get engaged this season and did so very quickly. They wasted no time. They got engaged at the end of episode 1 and their connection continued to stay strong after the big reveal. Danielle even called their relationship a fairy tale. Their relationship was low-key throughout the show, aka drama-free. However, after a mixer in Mexico, Danielle was super upset and came off a little aggressive towards her soon-to-be hubby. She later shared more background context of the night on Instagram on February February 21st. Danielle revealed that she had an anxiety attack while Nick was at the mixer because she was overthinking and feared that she opened up too much too soon. Nick commented on her post saying, "Always proud of you, your vulnerability, and your strength." Like Ayana and Jared, they haven't revealed if they're still married, but by his response to her Instagram caption, the two are living their happily ever after. Mallory Zapata and Salvador Perez. After Mallory rejected Jared's proposal, she and Sal got engaged before physically seeing each other. Mallory and Sal had a lot in common, like their Mexican heritage. Mallory seemed to be all in with Sal, but started to have doubts after their big reveal. After seeing each other face to face for the first time, Mallory questioned if she was attracted to her new fiancé. "There's nothing wrong with him. It's not something I can put my finger on, I guess. This is throwing me off because now I'm not feeling good about it," she said on the show.
I don't know. I mean, there's nothing wrong with him.
On their wedding day, Sal confessed he needed more time.
Just need more time.
Okay.
But can we talk about how he acknowledged her family? "We love a respectful man." Mallory and Sal talked more after he revealed his feelings at the altar, and Mallory admitted that she had a feeling he wasn't 100% sure about getting married. Doesn't look like they worked it out in the end, but is Sal dating another cast member? Dun dun dun. Shayna Hurley and Kyle Abrams. And the most awkward reveal goes to these two. After Shayna accepted Kyle's proposal, she confessed her feelings to Shane, but after he told her that he was all in with Natalie, she resorted back to her second choice. While Kyle was ready to embrace her with a kiss during the reveal, Shayna pulled back, showing us how she really felt. They had problems in their relationship, mostly because of her differing religious views. Shayna is a devoted Christian and Kyle is an atheist. After Shayna left Mexico early, they tried to give the relationship another chance back in their hometown of Chicago. And yes, Kyle initiated after breaking up for the last time. They did not end on good terms like some of the other couples who broke up. Not only are they not friends, but they don't even speak. But are we surprised? Joey Miller and Caitlin McKee. Joey and Caitlin's love story was left out of the show, but that didn't stop them from living it up like the other Love is Blind couples. The two got engaged in the pod, just like the other couples, and continued their lives together off-screen. Caitlin revealed that she and Joey went on their own vacation after filming their engagement. Instead of going to Mexico with the engaged couples on the show, they vacationed in Santa Monica, California, where they celebrated Caitlin's birthday. They spent a lot of time together and even met each other's families. Sadly, when they announced their engagement on Instagram, they also revealed that they ended their engagement and are no longer together. They must have ended things on good terms because they still tag each other on their Instagram stories. Cara Williams and Jason Beaumont. Cara and Jason's engagement was also left out of the show, and we barely saw them this season. On February 16, Jason revealed their engagement on Instagram. In his caption, he put Cara on a pedestal and gave us hope that they were still together. However, he dropped even bigger news later in the caption telling fans that they were no longer together. Since we didn't go to see their engagement and journey on the show, we don't know too much, but one thing is for sure. Jason is definitely still in love with Cara. Getting to see her on the red carpet was without a doubt the best feeling I've ever had in my entire life. "It gives me goosebumps just thinking about how beautiful she looked," he said. Cara didn't mention her engagement to Jason until the season 2 finale premiered. While her Instagram caption mostly talked about her experience and not Jason, it makes sense because she has a new beau and she seems to be head over heels in love. She even subtly flaunted him on her Insta stories before the show even premiered. So it seems like she met Mr. Right quickly after calling off her engagement with Jason. What happens in Vegas? On February 25th, Deep T posted that she was on a girls' trip in Sin City with Danielle and Ayana. But then Jarrett posted an Instagram picture later that night in Vegas. Then to top it off, both Sal and Deep T posted a selfie together with the text "Unshakable Vibes." I'm sorry, are they on a couple's vacay? Does this mean Danielle and Nick and Jarrett and Ayana are still happily married? But most importantly, are Sal and Deep T dating? Okay, can this reunion come out already because we need answers like yesterday. Deep T and Kyle. Even though it looked like some of the contestants, including Deep T, were on a triple Vegas vacay, other signs are pointing to another suitor for Queen Deeps. The word on the street is that Deep T has been dating another contestant since filming the show, and we've all been dying to know. While her and Sal look like they may be an item, she may be dating Kyle. Deep T posted a photo of herself from a night out on the town, and while Sal commented "Queen Deeps," Kyle seemed to be hot and bothered by the pic. Short and simply, Kyle commented, "Oh hi," with the burning up emoji. Alexa, cue the Jonas Brothers. Not only did Kyle seem to enjoy Deepti's picture, but she is liking his shirtless selfies as well. Kyle loves to flaunt his abs online, and while most of us find it cringy, Deepti's all about it. She commented on his fresh out of the shower selfie, where she too seems to be feeling Kyle. A little birdie confirmed that Kyle and Deepti are dating, so Sal is probably just a cover-up until the reunion comes out. If it is true, Deepti and Kyle will be the couple we would have never seen coming, but now they are potentially an item. Just when we thought we saw all the drama unfold on the second season of Love is Blind, the contestants revealed information that was totally cut out of the show.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
Jason and Kara's engagement. We may have seen 6 couples get engaged during season 2 of Love is Blind, but there were actually 2 more couples that got engaged on the show. Jason Beaumont and Kara Williams were one of the engaged couples whose love story we didn't get to see this season.
I probably am a little over the top with his cleanliness.
The creator of Love is Blind, Chris Colin, touched on why the 2 couples were left out of the season. In order to show each couple's journey within the given amount of episodes, they had to pick what couples had better storylines. Also, following around 8 couples is really expensive, so they had to choose wisely.
Yeah, I don't know.
On February 16th, Jason shared with his Instagram followers that he and Kara left the show engaged. He shared a handful of pictures, and it looks like they did a lot of whining and dining. Kara has been one of the most charismatic, loving, and supportive people I've ever met. She is hands down one of the strongest women I've ever been around. Getting to see her on the red carpet was without a doubt the best feeling I've ever had in my entire life. It gives me goosebumps just thinking about how beautiful she looked. Although he had a lot of nice things to say about her, Jason revealed that their relationship didn't work out and they called off their engagement. It took Kara a while to acknowledge their engagement. She didn't talk about it until February 25th when she posted about her Love is Blind journey on Insta. She briefly mentioned Jason, but it kinda makes sense because she's head over heels with her new boyfriend. Kara posted her man before the season 2 even premiered. Joey and Caitlin's engagement. Joey Miller and Caitlin McKee also got engaged in this season, but sadly we did not get to see their story unfold either. We briefly saw these two this season, and when we did, it wasn't during their time in the pods, but just group shots of the cast. Caitlin was once engaged before coming on the show, so we were really rooting for her to find her forever.
I would tell the love of my life, I'll see you at the end of this thing.
The two revealed that they left the show engaged on their Instagram accounts on February 15th. What you didn't see is that I also found love in the pods and left the show with a fiancé. Joey and I had an amazing summer and fall with the opportunity to travel, meet each other's families, and build a genuine relationship without the cameras and crew. While they shared the cutest pictures together and had the nicest things to say about each other in their posts, their relationship didn't work out either, and they also called off their engagement. They didn't reveal why they called it quits, but they clearly ended things on good terms. They still tag each other in their Instagram stories, so you can say they remained friends. Natalie's other proposal. Yeah, she may have ended up with Shane before leaving him at the altar, but did you know that Shane wasn't the only guy to pop the big question to Natalie? Chris Colin spilled this juicy info during an interview, and we just have one question. Why did we not see it? According to Chris, an unidentified contestant proposed to Natalie earlier on in the process. They decided to not include the proposal in the show because it was random and weird.
Anyways.
To show more of her and Shane's relationship on the show, they ditched Natalie's first proposal. There was another guy who, very, very early on, was really interested in Natalie and basically proposed to her. It was very out of the blue, but he just felt like he knew, and she was like, "This is just weird," Chris said. Apparently, Natalie didn't have any romantic feelings for Mystery Man, but he clearly fell deep very, very fast. Deleted scenes. A producer from the show uploaded behind-the-scenes content and deleted scenes from the season on his Instagram stories and had us questioning what else unfolded during the show. Shayna and Danielle actually met up while the cameras were rolling, and although we didn't know what was discussed during their conversation, it was said that it was apparently messy. Unless there's something that was completely taken out of the season, Danielle probably put Shayna in her place for butting into Natalie and Shane's relationship. There was another deleted scene where Nick met Danielle's friends and the two went wine tasting where Danielle accidentally spilled wine all over Nick. Knowing how sweet he is, he was probably a trooper for both gatherings. Ayanna and Jarrett's wedding reception was shown, and now we know why these two are such a good time. Their family and some of the crew were shown dancing and singing at the top of their lungs. A party done right. Shane kept the love triangle on the DL. Okay, so here's the 411. In the pods, Shane had a connection with Natalie and Shayna, but he ultimately fell in love with his IBS woman, Natalie.
Natalie has exceeded every expectation I've ever had in my entire life.
While we were very much aware of the love triangle, Natalie had no clue. In a recent interview with BuzzFeed, Natalie revealed that she did in fact ask both Shane and Shayna if there was anything going on between them, and they never gave her an honest answer. Ooh, shady 180. From lovers to strangers. Kyle and Shayna's engagement was bizarre, and let's be real, we knew they had no future.
Have some hope.
Shayna pulled a Jessica from season 1 and intervened in Natalie and Shane's relationship.
Your guys' relationship, no offense, because it is a fake-ass relationship.
After Shayna left Mexico early, her and Kyle tried to work on their relationship one more time in their hometowns of Chicago. Besides Shayna having feelings for someone else, she and Kyle had differing religious views, and that was a deal breaker for Shayna. She's a Christian and Kyle is an atheist, so there's that. Their reconciliation didn't work out, and now the former couple aren't even on speaking terms. We don't communicate, there's nothing left. I mean, we're not friends or anything. She doesn't come out much, that ship has sailed, Kyle told US Weekly.
Welcome to Love is Blind!
Love is Blind may seem like an instant success, but there's a lot more that goes on behind the pods to lay the foundation for the dating show to become a household name.
Is love blind? I hope you guys prove that it is.
Shooting dates. The success of the first season of the show led to a no-brainer decision for Netflix to renew the series again.
This is good already. We're barely started here.
However, filming didn't go quite as smoothly as the unexpected pandemic had delayed production for several months. They were finally able to start shooting for 8 weeks in April of 2021. 10 of those days were spent in the famous pods where 40 to 50 singles would be part of the initial cast. But if they didn't form a strong connection, they were let go. It was done in a speed dating style where they would initially just have 8 to 10 minutes until there were no limitations as to how long they would be chatting. It's been quite a while since production ended, and any successful couples would have to have been dating or even married for several months in secret. That's wild. COVID restrictions. Season 2 filming was a lot more difficult than before due to there being a pandemic. But funnily enough, the experiment was almost designed for a social distancing situation. Even though singles were put into pods for the beginning of the show, they actually had to quarantine in bubble pods for 2 more weeks before filming even started. Once it was safe enough, they actually were able to bring the couples back to their hometowns to see friends and family as they found a safe way to shoot the season. Host duties. Hosts Vanessa and Nick may just be the perfect couple to host this show because they too have experienced being emotionally connected first when they were dating long distance for work. Vanessa told Insider, "We had the foundation of that emotional relationship before we took it to a physical level, got engaged, got married, and had kids. That foundation has been, in my opinion, what's helped us in our marriage and helped us as parents." Aside from hosting the show, they are actually very involved in the lives of the contestants. As the contestants are pretty much stuck in the pods to themselves, the hosts would give them advice for hours every day, serving as mentors to the new couples.
You guys are gonna finally have the chance to fall in love, based solely on who you are on the inside.
Then they would share details with each other while drinking cocktails.
A lot of details.
Yep.
Looks like the show may be a bonding experience for this married couple as well. Vanessa said they would chat like 2 high school girls gossiping about potential couples. She even recalled knowing the show would be a success just from how intriguing their conversations about filming were. Vanessa teased that they do have their favorite contestants, but they won't spill who. Authenticity. While in Season 1, contestants were not only blind in what their future partners looked like, but they were also blind to the whole process.
This literally is the first time an experiment like this has ever been done.
Not knowing what to expect or what viewer reactions would be, so they were a lot more genuine in wanting to find love. However, producers fear that season 2 may not have the same authenticity, as people are now aware of how successful the show is and may want to come on just for fame or even fake their relationships. Vanessa told Insider, "I truly believe that if people come into season 2 with an open heart and mind, that they will find love. But if they come in wanting to be famous, it's going to blow up in their face. Looks like casting directors would have to implement a tougher screening process." Location. While the first season took place in Atlanta, the famous pods will be moving locations to the Big Bean City of Chicago for season 2, which is where most of the cast would be from. Casting.
I haven't found someone that appreciates my love as much as I appreciate theirs. That's why I'm here.
Are you single and looking for romance on Love is Blind? Well, it turns out the casting process is actually quite difficult. You can't exactly sign up to be on it. The contestants were uniquely scouted on popular dating apps like Tinder or on social media platforms like Instagram. Casting directors would swipe left and right to invite singles who were looking for love.
This would be an awesome story to tell our kids. I met your dad in a social experiment where I was dating 14 other guys.
They wanted real people, not typical actors or models who were used to playing it up for the camera. From the looks of the season 2 cast, it seems like they have found some pretty successful ones too. For instance, to name a few, Aja is a paralegal, Hasib is a lawyer, Chastity is a business owner, Nick is a VP of marketing, Rocky is an executive, while Shane and Trista are brokers. So if you're interested in perhaps forming a strong emotional connection with the potential to get married within 2 months,
I just can't wait.
Get swiping. You never know where your next match could lead you.
You're going to be in for quite a ride. It's going to be a lot of fun going forward with this.
Secret to success. The reason why the show did so well is because everyone was taken aback by just how important deep emotional connection is for a relationship to work, as swiping right and left based on a picture on Tinder seems to be the norm these days. In the season 2 trailer, you can hear a contestant noting that the experiment really interested her because she didn't think that she had the physical assets to attract a man.
I am terrified that I'm going to find out that maybe my personality isn't enough.
The creator, Chris Colin, said he always knew he had a hit on his hands because of how interesting the premise was, but he had no idea how well it would work. Past married couples have mentioned that they were taken aback by just how fast they fell in love too, but reassured fans it's real. Plus, when you're free from distractions, meaning no cell phones, TV, or computer, and you're just in a room chatting for hours, your thoughts are just consumed by them, which is really beautiful to witness. Wedding. Even though it seems quite unbelievable to have a whole wedding within just 2 months of knowing each other, the officiation is legitimate.
What do you think of all this?
Kind of crazy.
As for who pays for the ceremony, it was revealed that Netflix does supply basics, but there's only so much budgeting, and many couples had to finance an unexpected wedding with their own money. Many of their wedding dresses especially went over budget. This means that the couples that do get married must be really serious about each other, because that's a big commitment.
And that's out of our control.
Lack of resources. Believe it or not, there are even more engagements that happen behind the scenes that we don't know about. Producers actually underestimated just how well their emotional bonding experiment would work out. They had expected just 1 or 2 couples to pop the question. They prepared for a maximum of 5 engagements, but in reality, it was a total of 8. So why weren't the rest shown on screen? After all, wouldn't producers want there to be more romance involved?
We hope so.
Well, it turns out that production didn't account for the budget for all 8 couples to take their romance to Mexico.
This is paradise. Can't we just move in here and live here forever?
Which was probably a huge disappointment. Since they couldn't predict which couples would have the most successful outcomes, producers practically picked names out of a hat. The couples that were left behind from the first season are Rory and Danielle and Wesley and Lexi, so they didn't get a lot of screen time and just went home afterwards.
It's a bummer.
These couples eventually split, but said through the experiment that they really did fall in love. The producers probably won't make that mistake in season 2. We can probably expect more engaged couples on screen this time around. Downtime.
How you guys doing?
Even though the process sounds exciting, it can be quite boring too if you really aren't interested in the date. You have no way out of the pod. Apparently, if 2 people have no connection whatsoever but have a scheduled date, they would spend the time napping in the pods instead of forcing awkward conversations with each other. Now, that's a unique way to show you're not interested. It looks like a lot of time and effort has been put into place to help these singles find love, and it seems to have worked.
They say love is blind and lovers cannot see, so maybe that's why contestants didn't see all of these red flags on Love is Blind Season 2.
Oh my god.
Shane mistakes Natalie for Shayna. The two seemed to form an instant connection in the pods, and spoiler alert, Natalie ultimately accepts Shane's proposal. However, throughout the season, Natalie turned a blind eye on some major red flags. And let's start with the most obvious, when he mistakenly thought Natalie was Shayna in the pod. Ugh, I'll set the stage. Natalie and Shane enter the pods, and Shane asked,
Who am I talking to?
I don't know. Take a guess.
No, Shayna, there we go.
What?
Natalie was noticeably confused and heartbroken, and we all felt the cringe as she walked out shattered. Shane gaslights and Natalie insults. The amount of gaslighting that comes from Shane is nauseating, and Natalie's love language is sarcasm. Shane's extroverted personality and the explosive way he defended himself was not the best match for Natalie's playful banter. One of the main examples that come to mind is when Shane and Natalie are supposed to be having a nice romantic dinner. It starts off solid, but quickly takes a turn when Natalie's sarcasm comes to the forefront again. And apparently she doesn't say she loves Shane as enthusiastically as he wanted her to. She finds herself having to stand her ground and explain why he shouldn't take offense to what she says or doesn't say.
It's just like not my style.
Shane's temper eventually boils over and he gets up from the table. We watch as he takes the win from Natalie's sales with him, and she's left at the dinner table alone wondering what she did wrong. Shayna, more like Shay-no. Another contestant on the show that has quite the laundry list of red flags is Shayna. From ripping shots of whiskey before meeting the man she agreed to marry, to trying to sabotage another couple's relationship because hers didn't go as planned. Shayna is the definition of chaos. She accepts the proposal from Kyle, a man who was not her first choice, and even accepts his mother's engagement ring.
Yes.
And nothing says "I do" more than running to your first choice and confessing your love to him first. We'll get into more of that love triangle in a little bit. It's also not very comforting that she immediately starts her confessional after saying yes in tears of regret, comparing this engagement to a failed one she had in the past.
I just don't want to make another mistake.
Shayna leaving their vacation in Mexico on night 1 should have been enough for Kyle to jump ship.
I'm very lucky.
Shake says he only dates blondes. We can't talk about red flags and not talk about Shake Chatterjee.
Latina vibes over there. Yeah, what's your size? Will I have trouble picking you up?
The most alarming red flag might be the fact that one of the first things he said to Deepti, knowing full well that she's Indian, is that he has only ever seriously dated blondes.
My serious relationships, they've all been blonde.
Oh, really? Okay.
So clearly his preferred partner is very much based on physical attraction. Hello, Shake. The show is literally called Love is Blind. Did you completely ignore the fact that it's designed to match people based on personality alone?
You like what you like, right? I mean, you know.
This becomes extremely problematic when he barrels full speed ahead and chooses Deepti despite his shallow desires. If at first you don't succeed, propose to the next girl? Jarrett isn't off the hook in the red flag department. We have to talk about the whole proposing to 2 women thing. The whole fact that Jarrett proposed to Mallory first, and then when she said no, he went out and cried so hard. I mean, so hard that he had to get a bath towel to wipe his tears off of his entire face. The men had an intervention of sorts on the couches outside the pods to help him regroup, so there's already a red flag on the field. But what does he do? Not admit defeat and leave the show. Oh no, not Jarrett. He dusts himself off and gets right back in there and proposes to Ayanna.
Today it might be Mallory, tomorrow it might be Ayanna.
Although he did stress to her that he didn't want her to feel like his second choice, even though she totally was. Ayanna was a tad hesitant, but she eventually said yes. It was weird on all accounts, and if this were football, there would be some sort of penalty, I am sure of it. Mallory and Jarrett's conversation in Mexico. If watching Jarrett turn around and propose to someone that wasn't Mallory wasn't awkward enough, watching the two of them flirt and argue in front of everybody in Mexico most certainly was. They sat very close at the bar together, their feet practically touching. Jarrett pressed Mallory if she was happy with Salvador. Mallory left the door open by saying she wasn't determined to marry Salvador by the end of the experience.
This is crazy.
Jarrett took the bait and tried his luck with her again by pointing out how Salvador didn't even get the kind of engagement ring she wanted. Mallory once shared with Jarrett that she wanted a gold engagement ring, but Salvador got her a silver one. This all took place in earshot of Ayanna and Sal while he turned into a blubbering mess in his interview with producers.
But I know that she's not interested in me.
Kyle was the second choice. Picking the wrong person seemed to be a trend on this show because Shayna did it too. Remember that love triangle we promised you about? It's more like a love rectangle. Here goes. In the pods, Shayna and Shane also had a connection. Their connection was more of a quick romance than the deeper connection Shane had with Natalie.
I just want to focus on us, and that's it, really.
Right after Kyle proposes to Shayna, she turns right around and heads to a pod with Shane, where she confesses her true love for him, despite being newly engaged and all the while swirling Kyle's mom's engagement ring around her finger while she does it. But when Shayna finally expresses her feelings to Shane, he tells her it's too late. He'd already chosen to propose to Natalie, who remained none the wiser to the entire situation. The whole thing was a mess, and it remains a major sticking point for Shayna throughout the rest of the show. Every convo Nick and Danielle have ends in a fight. If you thought Nick and Danielle were getting out of this scot-free, you thought wrong. Oh, Nick and Danielle, a couple who at first appear like they've got it all together, are arguing almost immediately after being released from the pods.
It doesn't shock me at all.
In fact, the first cracks in Nick and Danielle's relationship begin to show in Mexico when they have their first fight. They seem fundamentally different from one another. Nick likes things neat and tidy and is a little bit more straight edge, whereas Danielle is more juvenile in her ways, admitting to him that she's a rock band enthusiast and leaves the drum set sitting out in her living room. It seems like he was always trying to get Danielle to change who she was, or as if she needed saving. A conversation they have in her apartment about how different they are, all while wearing hot dog costumes, leaves Nick visibly upset and storming out of the room while trying to rip it off. A Shake wait for Shake states. In the very first episode, Shake asks one of the women if she works out. When she replies that she isn't big on working out, Shake says,
Ooh, I get along best with individuals that do work out.
"We aren't even 15 minutes into the entire show, my guy, and you are already trying to gauge if you will be attracted to them physically." Then he asks Deepti if she would be able to sit on his shoulders at a music festival. Who does that? Kyle says vegetarian no more. Here's a big red flag that went a little under the radar. Kyle tries so hard to make his relationship with Shayna work that he abandons his core values for her. Kyle was a vegetarian for 8 years, and on their honeymoon in Mexico, he says he will eat meat just for Shayna. And instead of Shayna trying to stop him from doing it, her response is,
"Oh my god, ew. You need to eat meat."
Perhaps it was Shayna seeing how far he'd go for her, because this isn't the last time Kyle self-abandons simply to please her in the show. We have to talk about Sal's ex. There's something about Sal's ex showing up at his house during filming that was glossed over in the show, and it didn't sit right with us, or Mallory. Something tells us Sal wasn't being very honest about the situation. Salvador says he went out on one date with the woman before the show. Sal took to Instagram on Monday, February 28th, to address the issue. He said in the now-deleted video, "We would hang out until I'd hear back from the Love is Blind team." But she then allegedly turns up at his home, upset about his new relationship. Would someone you go on one date with do that? Smells fishy to me. And it definitely rocked the chemistry between Mallory and Sal afterwards. Shayna still has feelings for Shane. And talking about lingering feelings, we're back to talking about Shayna, the red flag that keeps on giving. She still has feelings for Shane. Here's the quick recap. Shayna left Kyle high and dry in Mexico. Some speculate it's because she didn't want to see Shane so soon. But in an interview with Women's Health, she claims it was because she needed guidance from her family. Anyways, she and Kyle meet up in Chicago later on to discuss their future. He said he's willing to compromise his beliefs because he loves her so much. She admits to the cameras,
"I chose Kyle. I said yes to Kyle. But I can't stop, thinking about Shane."
Meet Shake's aunt, Deepti. We guess there were some times where Shake seemed to be making a breakthrough and actually turning into a nice guy. Sometimes it even looked like he and Deepti had chemistry. But boy, we were wrong. Shake repeatedly and loudly proclaims to anyone who'll listen that he's not attracted to Deepti in any way. He convinces her to take things slow while he works on his attraction to her, but really just talks to everyone, including his own mother, and how unattracted he is to her.
She reminds me so much of my aunt.
Are you a godly man, Kyle? Shayna and Kyle each have extreme views on religion. Shayna's religion is an important factor for her that she brings up again when they first meet. And it all seems to come to a head when she takes Kyle to the lion's den that is her family. Her brothers take turns asking him questions. When one asks him,
"Do you believe in, Christ?"
Oh, no, I don't.
Shayna finally breaks to him she cannot marry him. She needs a husband who's able to spiritually lead her, and Kyle is clearly not that man. Nick sweating bullets at the altar. The pair left the Netflix experiment as husband and wife, but we weren't convinced that they'll last as a couple. His homemade deodorant didn't cut it the day of their wedding because the amount of sweat pouring off of Nick as he stood at the altar didn't make him look like a guy who was confident in the decision he was about to make. While they do have love for each other, the amount of arguing and second-guessing from both of them up until the wedding day is a recipe for disaster. And as much as they both tried to hide their insecurities on the day of the wedding, Nick's body physically showed his discomfort with the decision. But to quote Shayna,
It's true love. Time reveals all truth.
Two couples got engaged during season 2 of Love is Blind, but their relationships weren't featured on the show. So who were they and why did we not know about this?
Let's just get the party started.
Kara and Jason. If you thought you saw all the engaged couples on season 2 of Love is Blind, man, were you wrong. But don't worry, we didn't know about these couples either until they posted on social media after the season premiered. Contestants Kara Williams and Jason Beaumont connected during their blind dates and decided to take their relationship beyond the pods. You may have to rewatch the first episode to get a little refresher on who they are because they only had seconds worth of camera time. When speaking to co-hosts Nick and Vanessa Lachey,
Do you feel like the dating world nowadays has become extremely superficial?
Kara revealed that she came onto the show because men get the wrong first impression of her. She said that men don't see her as wifey material due to her blonde hair and other features.
She's a great time, it's not wifey material, and they don't give me that chance.
And said she never gets far enough into dating to give all she has to offer. Well, she and flight attendant Jason must have made a deep connection in the pods, deep enough for him to pop the big question. According to their social media posts, Kara obviously said yes, but she will not be saying yes to the dress. On February 16th, Jason announced that he and Kara left the show engaged with a heartfelt Instagram post and lengthy caption. He wrote, "Kara has been one of the most charismatic, loving, and supportive people I've ever met. She is hands down one of the strongest women I've ever been around. Getting to see her on the red carpet was without a doubt the best feeling I've ever had in my entire life. It gives me goosebumps just thinking about how beautiful she looked." As much as the engagement post shocked us, so did the other announcement he made in the post. Talk about a double whammy. Jason shared that he and Kara ended their engagement. How's Kara holding up after her breakup with Jason? According to her Instagram account, just fine. She hasn't acknowledged her engagement with Jason. Awkward, but she has debuted her new beau. Kara posted her current boyfriend on Instagram before Love is Blind premiered, so it seems like she may have met her new man quickly after her breakup with Jason. She recently celebrated her birthday on a Dominican Republic vacay, calling it a vacation. Meanwhile, Jason is traveling Rome. We may not know all the details about their short-lived engagement, but it seems like Kara may have been the one to call it quits.
I'm either letting people in too much or not enough.
Caitlyn and Joey. Another engagement we didn't get to see was between Caitlyn McKee and Joey Miller.
I am most excited for the moment when I get to see my future wife.
Both Caitlyn and Joey announced that they left the show engaged and did a lot of exploring after leaving the show.
I would tell the love of my life, I'll see you at the end of this thing.
Joey began his Instagram caption calling it an overdue picture dump. Oh, Joey, it's photo dump. Anyway, Joey shared that he and Caitlyn fell very deep in love extremely fast, and they got engaged without ever physically seeing each other. The pair hit it off with their shared love for tacos, tequila, and their joint Bieber fever. While he may have made Caitlyn one less lonely girl, the two decided to end their engagement. Joey's caption read, "Grateful to @Love is Blind Netflix for introducing me to such a strong, caring, and compassionate woman. We are no longer together, but absolutely fell in love blindly." Caitlyn also shared some sweet pictures during her engagement with Joey. The two spent their summer and fall traveling and meeting each other's families, all while strengthening their relationship. Even though their love didn't last, Caitlyn and Joey ended their engagement on good terms. Caitlyn wrote on Instagram, "Although we ultimately chose to go our separate ways recently, we are choosing to remain friends, and he will always hold a special place in my heart." This was Caitlyn's second engagement, so it's really sad to see that she and Joey didn't work out. They both seem to be single and enjoying their post-Love is Blind lives. So why were they cut from the show? While it seems a little shady that two couples' love stories were not featured on the show, there is factual reasoning as to why their engagements and camera time were cut from season 2. It all came down to one thing: Money. Chris Colin, the creator of Love is Blind, shared that following all the engaged couples in season 2 would have put the show over their budget. He said, "You only have so many crews and so much budget and so much time. Considering it was only 2 more couples over budget, you would think they would make it work. Isn't that what the increased Netflix fee is for?" Okay, rant over. Chris also added that he would have loved to follow all the newly engaged couples, but since they had to choose, they chose the couples that would be a better group to follow.
Right.
Contestants may be blind in finding love, but they have to keep their eyes wide open for these strict rules they have to follow.
Don't think that it's all fairy tales and rainbows from here.
10 days. The time for mingling in the pods, believe it or not, is just a mere 10 days long before getting engaged. This is a reality show after all, and chop chop, producers have a schedule to run. That's certainly not a long time to get to know each other, but it just goes to show how far an emotional connection can take you.
I will remember this moment for the rest of my life.
Same city. While the first season was filmed in Atlanta, Netflix moved its pods in the second season to film in Chicago, and for good reason. The cast has to live there. This is partially why the show has a high success rate, because after the couples get married, they would still be in the same location, which increases their chances of sustaining a relationship. Many of the cast were actually scouted through dating apps located in the city. Harsh sleeping arrangements. Even though they're on a high-value production show, the cast don't exactly have the best place to rest their heads at night. They had to sleep in trailers that had correctional facility beds and slept for only 4 hours a night. The design was meant to make them uncomfortable. You shouldn't have signed up for a luxury vacation. The bachelors and bachelorettes also lived in separate places on set with their own team of producers. Finding love is just that big of a motivator, we guess, to withstand all of this.
And that's why I'm here.
Food requests. Even though they may not have the best sleeping arrangements, they do get a flavorful choice of food. Producers try to make the cast comfy by picking up anything they wanted to eat from the outside.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Including special snacks or coffee from your favorite stores. After all, they don't want the singles going into a date hangry. Looks. The purpose of the experiment may be to shield your appearance from your date, but you're actually allowed to somewhat give them a hint. They can say they look like a certain celebrity, whether they may be accurate or not.
Which is kind of crazy to even think about.
Host Vanessa Lachey said in an interview that since she knew what everyone looked like, having the girls describe who their date thought their date looked like and knowing it wasn't close at all, she knew ahead of time it would be an awkward encounter if they ever met each other outside of the pods. No phones. Love on this show is not only blind, but it's dialed back to a time of pre-technology, meaning they are not allowed to have phones, computers, or TV with them.
Guys, there will be no devices, 0 distractions.
Even when not filming. It's confiscated in the first 2 parts of the experiment. Without this large distraction and not being able to communicate with outside family and friends, many cast members noted it helped them focus intently on their relationships.
I really like this.
Yeah, this is really nice. This is fun.
No producer interference. Usually with reality TV, you've heard of there being producers encouraging drama, but with Love is Blind, it's all out of their control.
Interesting.
Producers are just there to plan dates. They want the cast to control their own destiny and don't want to impact the emotional bonding between them in any way, which is cool.
And that's a really important reason why I'm here.
Dates. The first round of dates go in a speed dating style. This was all just for timing's sake. They would spend only 8 to 10 minutes with each person and then rotate just so everyone can get a chance to know each other.
I think it's important to just try to explore, every conversation, every option.
College houses. Apparently, the experience of filming the show isn't that much different from living in a fraternity or sorority house, in a sense that everyone is chatting up about their love interests.
I met with the funniest guy, and I didn't even get his name. He's just a mystery.
Although you may think people would get catty if they like the same person, the girls had said it felt more like a sisterhood. The guys would do plank competitions while the ladies would cook together and go for runs. How fun. Alone time. It might get stressful and chaotic throughout the day with having to decide who you could potentially want for a partner for the rest of your life, which is why the cast are allowed a timeout if they really need one.
I'm emotionally exhausted.
Men and women bring notebooks, and you could do a lot of journaling to get your thoughts out. Visitations. After the speed dating portion, the cast can actually decide when they want to visit the pods.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. They can arrange to date multiple times a day, to enjoy deep conversations, as well as stay as long as they want. The longest sessions lasted 4 to 5 hours and were cut short only because of a bathroom break. Sometimes a connection is so good that the couple didn't want to stop, even when producers encouraged them to eat and sleep.
Let me in.
Date activities. Usually, couples try to get to know each other through some form of activity, and they try to formulate the same routine on the show, just without seeing what the other person is doing. For instance, some wanted to have lasagna for dinner together, read, serenade the other with a ukulele.
You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Or even just nap and the producers will fetch the items they requested. Vulnerability. If there's one thing producers do ask the cast to do is that they can't be afraid to get deep. This isn't a superficial show, and all your deepest fears would be encouraged to be shared.
I believe in the importance of vulnerability. I like crying. I feel like emotions are strength and tears are strength.
After all, it's hard to fall in love with just small talk conversations. Some take longer than others, but the cast themselves encourage each other to open up. Hosts' interference. Hosts Nick and Vanessa are pretty tight with the batch of singles. They have shared that they're basically mentors and best friends to the cast, but that doesn't mean they can give advice to sway anyone in a particular direction, because the hosts are pretty knowledgeable about everything taking place. Long filming hours. Going to find your one true love can actually be quite hard, as you're expected to film for 18 to 20 hours a day.
I'm like, if you can handle it, like that, let's go all day.
That must be really exhausting, especially if you spent most of it talking. No drink restrictions. The stress of potentially meeting your future spouse and the fact that you're going to be watched by millions can be incredibly nerve-wracking, which is why there are practically no limits to how much drinks are consumed.
Oh my goodness.
Gossiping. Even though this may seem like a one-on-one experiment, you're allowed to talk to other cast members too, just like how you would talk to other peers at school. It's something to bond over. If there's a friendly enough connection on a set-up date without it feeling romantic, they can vent to each other about the people they're actually interested in. Or you can get the support of your same-gender friends to make sure they are on the right path. No connection, no airtime. The original cast had about 40 to 50 people, and that was just simply too many to broadcast. So if anyone didn't establish a connection, they were asked to leave. This way, audiences can follow the stories of the ones that have a genuine connection and allow them more time to connect. Proposal time. You may think that getting engaged within 10 days is wild, but if you really are ready, you can get engaged even before that. There's no time limit. They can immediately see what their fiancé looks like the day after the engagement. Love does not wait.
Wow.
Secretly engaged. Once you are betrothed, though, your big news would have to be kept hush-hush from everyone, including your family, until they returned home for the second phase of the experiment. Well, it's probably for the best to test trial the relationship first. Plus, since they met on a show, they aren't allowed to publicly announce the news until after the show has aired. These rules definitely set the cast up for a once-in-a-lifetime experience, but you gotta do what you gotta do in the name of love, right? Love is Blind may be a chance for some to find their partners for life, but for others, it seems love is blurry.
Love is blurry.
My friend, this show is Love is Blind.
Kyle's wrongful proposal. Getting on one knee and asking someone to spend their life with you is no joke, and often takes a lot of deliberate thinking and planning ahead, but not for the Love is Blind cast. Just within 10 days, the couples are to get engaged without seeing each other face to face. So it goes without question that some rocky decisions were made. That is certainly true for Kyle, who expressed he wished he hadn't gotten engaged to Shayna.
It's just, I mean, it was just a big waste of time.
They had different religious stances, as Shayna was a Christian and she later found out he was an atheist. Their relationship ended pretty quickly and are currently not in communication. While fans understood why Kyle thought the proposal was a mistake, they were shocked when he confessed that his biggest regret was actually not asking Deepti to marry him instead.
I should have asked Deepti to marry me. I should have tried harder for you. I mean, I love her so much. She's the best.
Deepti was noticeably happy about this confession, and he must be right about her because even his ex agreed. Shayna chimed in by backing up that
Deepti's amazing.
Not that they need his approval, but even Deepti's ex-fiancé Shake said he would love that for Kyle and Deepti. Speaking of Shake, Kyle was angry that he had treated Deepti so poorly, which just speaks volumes for Kyle's love and respect for her.
Yeah, and it pisses me off because you wasted such a good opportunity.
So could there potentially be a redemption love story for Kyle and Deepti instead? Maybe. They have been getting pretty flirty on the gram recently. When Kyle posted a pic of himself, Deepti commented, "Meet you at midnight in Paris," with some fire and sweat emojis. Not to mention this sneaky TikTok video he posted. Perhaps Kyle's biggest regret may just turn into the romance he came in looking for after all. We just have to wait and see. Shayna's perspective. Of course, it takes two to tango and fall apart in a relationship. Shayna takes partial fault in admitting that her biggest regret was saying yes to Kyle's proposal, as she had an inkling beforehand that they weren't exactly going to be compatible.
I needed to see him interact with my family. I'm very close with my family, and I knew that they know what's best for me at the end of the day, and so it kind of sealed the deal for me. I didn't want to make any mistakes.
She also thought she would give a non-Christian a chance, as she had dated Christians before, and it didn't work out, and that being religious doesn't make you a good person. But at the end of the day, it was a deal breaker. Shayna doesn't feel too much sorrow about the situation though, as she rather takes on the perspective of
everything happens for a reason.
Natalie's tearful regret. While some get their happily ever after on the show, this consulting manager experienced a lot of drama and heartache instead. An explosive fight happened the night before Natalie and Shane's wedding, which according to Natalie caused Shane to say hurtful things like,
"So you're saying you truly felt like you hated me and I was the worst thing for you at that moment?"
Shane defended himself in the reunion, saying he got to that point because of things Natalie did, and claimed she hasn't owned up to her mistakes.
Like you're still not, you haven't apologized like kind of like your side of the story. You haven't owned up to like kind of like, so it was 100% my fault.
This caused Natalie to start tearing up. She admitted that she regrets making her ex-fiancé feel like he wasn't good enough.
"Because I feel like you were more than enough."
She explained to ET about that fight, saying it wasn't just one thing, it was an accumulation of a lot of different things. "I think the pressure of our wedding also played a part in that, of feeling like we have to make a decision really quickly." She also thinks in general they had very different lifestyles, and the amount of compromises they both had to make was overwhelming for him, which was what caused his explosion that night. Sounds like it was an icky situation for both parties. Shane's wrong name incident. Shane's biggest regret from the show was his reaction to calling Natalie a different girl's name in the pod. He seemed excited to talk to Shayna instead when entering the room, which obviously no girl wants to hear from someone they're falling for. The 32-year-old shamefully admitted that,
I played victim card right away and I tried to defend myself, but I definitely 100% regret. I really wish I would have just let her speak.
Shane making it official. The real estate broker made more than a couple of mistakes, to say the least. His other regret was asking Natalie to be his girlfriend when he was still unsure about his feelings.
Still, like, saying the girlfriend comment was completely unnecessary.
He was still exploring Shayna as an option in the pod. When Shayna found out about Natalie being his girlfriend, Shane's response was,
"I'm asking a question."
I know, but I'm like, who cares?
And tried to convince Shayna to fight for what they had. Shane explains that he simply got caught up in the moment and felt like he needed to. Of course, when Natalie found out, she was hurt. At the reunion, Natalie expressed that
there could have been a change if he explored another connection was really hard.
Even after the season, Natalie and Shane tried to give their relationship another shot, but Natalie couldn't get past their fight. They now remain friends. Shane's relationship with Shayna. Although it may seem like this villain duo were meant to be, even having basically matching names, it was never as serious as it seemed on camera. After Shayna accepted Kyle's proposal, she went to talk to Shane immediately to tell him how she really felt about him. Shane says he had regrets about leading Shayna to believe if she told him her feelings sooner, he would have chosen her instead.
Like, I'm getting crucified for the situation. I could have handled it definitely different.
People portrayed Shayna to be a homewrecker, as she had a bit too much to say about Shane and Natalie's relationship, calling it fake and offering Natalie a boyfriend if things didn't work out. Shayna defends herself, saying a lot of the footage was edited, and claims that their relationship had fizzled out in the pods. Shane confirmed on social media that the two are just simply cordial and there will never be anything romantic. Jarrett. Even though he is a happily married man now, the healthcare consultant wishes he didn't have that deep conversation with Mallory in Mexico. Jared explained that his emotions were simply running high as it was his first time seeing Mallory, and out of respect for his fiancée, he should have done things differently.
Even though I did this, there will never, ever be a chance where you feel like you're ever runner-up or second place to nobody.
Watching it back, the 32-year-old felt really cringe and super embarrassed of his behavior. His wife Ayana was understanding though, as she had been warned of this conversation beforehand, but still, experiencing it all over again was understandably not easy.
So that part was actually hurtful.
Ayana constantly reminds herself that that's not who he is, as he's proven for 9 months now that she is his priority. Mallory. The same goes for the communication manager, who didn't think the conversation with Jarrett was appropriate. She admitted to being drunk at that time.
Unfortunately, I took a couple shots before that because I was nervous.
Ayana. One thing this program coordinator wishes she had done differently was how she handled her concerns in her relationship with Jared, such as his feelings for Mallory and his ex. At the time, Ayana didn't know if she could trust him, but after Mexico, Jared proved himself to be a trustworthy man. Even if watching yourself is nerve-wracking, it sometimes gets you to observe your flaws. She saw that her downfall was in her communication style and wants to actively work on it.
I just wish that I had handled some of my concerns a little bit better.
At the reunion, Ayana even wanted to make sure there was no anger points towards Mallory. We love a self-aware queen. Shake. One thing Shake knows how to do is to shake off embarrassing moments. He claims he doesn't really have regrets, which we know if we were him, we would have a plenty. From comparing Deepti to his aunt, to his remarks about how unattracted to her he is, to making comments about women's weight, his whole persona turned just about everyone off. He even admits to being tragically flawed and says dumb things all the time.
I don't even want to start with the dumb stuff I've said. The reason I wake up, I have a good heart.
In an Instagram video, he went on to say,
The thing I don't feel inclined to do is pretend I'm sad. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry.
We are glad Deepti said thank you next to this one. Deepti. Meanwhile, the data analyst finds peace in the whole situation, even though she didn't exactly get the happy ending she had wanted.
I wish I was a little bit more vulnerable and more emotional.
But wouldn't trade the experience because she met some of her closest friends on this journey. Nick. Being assertive may have its pros, perhaps in the workplace, but when it comes to building relationships, Nick realizes it may not be the best approach. After watching himself back, he wishes he wasn't so direct with people and asking questions all the time.
You know, looking back and watching it again, I could see that I actually had impact on people from doing that.
He learned to look at his own curiosity and watch the way he says things so it doesn't end up hurting people. Danielle. Sometimes your insecurities get the best of you, and for Danielle, she feels that it got the best of her on the show. She wishes she didn't project her negative self-talk onto other people.
Made me realize that I projected that onto other people. Sometimes view myself negatively. I don't trust that I deserve a good person.
Well, it looks like she was able to work past it because she is in a successful marriage now. Shayna. Meanwhile, when watching herself back, Shayna realizes she isn't always forthright about her feelings.
I was definitely guarded. I've learned to be open.
Like questioning what Natalie and Shane even had in common, although she had apologized to Natalie afterwards. If she could do it all over again, Shayna wishes she was more prepared for reality TV. But then again, it's hard to really do that. She claims that many things were edited out on screen and wishes fans would recognize that. Sal. Sal wishes that he had been more open and emotional in the series. Perhaps opening up would have helped the two establish a closer connection. Although Mal and Sal didn't get to say I do, they did try to date once the cameras were rolling, but ultimately got the closure they needed and parted ways. While this may have been a dramatic season, it looks like everything worked out the way it was supposed to. Do you think Kyle and Deepti should get together? How about Shane and Shayna? There's also been talks of Sal and Natalie. Let us know in the comments below. Like this video if you want to stay up to date on the latest reality TV news. And we'll see you next time on The Things Reality.